never did that. He always give me some task,
Oh.
and I'm going to be wrapped around.
Like when you gave the guy the books to read.
Yeah.
Isn't that curious? Yeah.
Get back to me later. Let me know what you.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Is that curious, isn't it? Yeah.
And in my business to go to the next level, I'll be working with more people.
And unless you solve this problem,
This can't play. I know
they can't play this game.
No.
Right? Not with, if you go to 5 to 100. Right? So you see why it's absolutely important. And it's costing you draining energy from this. Yeah, it's energy draining. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh.
Well, actually, there's another thing too.
Mm-hmm.
My father was a very busy person. He was involved in a lot of different things. And what he was doing was he'd do this thing, then he'd shift gears. He'd go do that thing, then he'd shift gears. And I'm doing the same thing. I'd go to work, I'd get in that mode, and then I go work my business, get in that mode, and then I'm late with my girlfriend.
Shift gears.
Shift gears for her, So, I'm running her as a business too. And I think, well, yeah.
Well, do you know what you should do? Now, this is when I can give advice. That's my major role.
Oh, you don't keep giving advice?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is the big advice, right?
Big, yeah, this is the part that have to wait until I build up a certain degree of trust with them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You've done a pretty good job.
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing. You just take a look at what's going on, that's all. You want to see the effect our discussion has on these 3 different worlds, so that you can simply see it more precisely.
So just watch it then.
Just watch the sucker, which you'll be doing anyhow.
Oh, I definitely.
And therefore my advice is very good, since I know you're already doing it, but you're going to be doing it in a different way, because you're going to do it in view of this. Right? You're going to do it in view of this. Right. How about some questions on this?
I wanted to ask you, what have you known this guy that you're shepherding for very long? The gentleman that you're...
Yeah, first names only, just for...
Yeah.
The Jim Herbaugh. Yes, he knows me for about a couple of years.
Okay, good.
Do you consider him a friend, or how do you consider... what are your feelings towards him? Is it strictly business, or do you have personal?
It's strictly business. I'm working for him now, and he worked at the same company I worked at. So I had a little bit of reputation at the company. I've worked with some other people there.
Mm-hmm.
He'd heard a few things, and then he was getting ready to retire.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, to tell you the truth, I was talking with 2 other guys in that group, because they were getting ready to retire, and they sort of went off and did some other things, whereas he just popped out of nowhere and said, well, talk to me, so it's, he wasn't the guy I thought I'd be working for.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not clear. This is the guy that you're going to be selling stuff to?
No, I already work for him.
So you work for this guy?
Yes, he had a 401k and a lump sum distribution from the company. He's taken a lump sum, which was about $500,000, and we've got to put it into a diversified portfolio. It's going to has a little bit of it has growth, value, large and small cap, and U.S. and international. It's pretty well diversified. His eggs are all in these different baskets.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, it worked out pretty good, because the fellow before had a similar portfolio, and during the downturn we had the last couple of months, most things were down like 23%. His portfolio was down something like 15. So there was an attenuation factor there.
Yeah, the point you were moving forward to?
A couple of things. One was I was curious how you felt about his willingness to trust you without really doing the homework that you felt he should do on his own. And that was one point. And what's the other thing? I can't remember.
Well, I was feeling a little bit guilty. I grew up in the South, and people in the South, they can tell stories, and people just believe them.
Sure.
And I do have some of that capability. You know, I can be very, very assuring about certain things which I might not be sure of myself, and people will believe me.
Sure.
So do you think there's something else that you should be telling him, or you think there's things that you're not telling him? Do you think you're being direct with him?
Well, here's the thing. I could go into more of the, risk aspects and give him a really, thorough grounding in risk. But if I do that, I might scare him out of the sale. And he hasn't really shown me that he's willing to read these books. I've had other guys take the book and read it and underline everything and ask me 10,000 questions, which that's another story. Those guys, sometimes they ask too much.
Sure.
This guy didn't ask enough.
Sure.
So, again, my bottom line is to actually get assets under management, which I feel I do feel this is these guys have got a really good perception and a methodology they use to control risk.
As much as it can be.
As much as it can be, but again, I'm saying, oh, gee, I can't do 100%. And beating myself up on it. Well,
See whether you can push the implications of that, okay? One more step. It's always implications, you see, in this game.
Help me out.
Okay.
Please.
What's the last thing that was said? Some of the people underlined the book, and they even asked more questions, and he laughed at that moment, right? And we both understood what was going on, which is he was really being a good educator in that sense.
Okay.
And he may be asking more questions than perhaps in terms of the particular financial goal and the position that he's in. He may educate him with it to move him from an F to an A, and therefore move out
At the cost of the...
Move out and go for some other plan with some other person.
that's the problem with sales. You can
Yeah.
actually educate yourself out of
Out of the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And somebody might come along with just a big smile, knows nothing,
Yeah.
and hit an emotional chord, and he's got a
That's right.
business.
Yeah, okay.
So it's...
Good. Any questions for probing this further? Good. Fun? Thank you.
Thank you.
Exploration. And it would be real good now to watch dreams. Given this dynamic now, now watch for dreams.
One question, it would strike me in this picture that something that seems rather significant that I could relate to is perhaps there's something very powerful about the idea that you relate to a father when you do have a problem, and that's the closest time, that's the times when you're the most intimate with your father ever.
That's right.
And you carry that on into your life.
That's right.
If things are peaceful, I'm not okay. If things are calm,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's right.
The guy hasn't called me. Well, he called me once, and I left him a voicemail, but he hasn't called back since then.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
Yeah. He may wonder why you're trying to reassure him.
Possible.
Right? It may not fit where he's at.
I do have to meet with him every 3 months,
Well, that's different.
so I could
Yeah.
procrastinate this
Yeah.
for 2 more months, but I don't want to do
But
that.
you're quite right. You see that it would be interesting for you to have a talk with your father, if it were possible, right? But in principle, to say, Dad, you know what I learned from these great moments when we were